This is Blocks to Flow, the space where learning, living, and leading return to alignment. Hosted by Kohila Sivas. Together we reconnect, restore, and rewire the missing link. Unlearn survival, relearn rhythm.
Coach Caitlin, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you, Kohila.
Amazing, amazing. When we start these conversation, Caitlin, I'd like to start with something to ground us. And most of the time, what we do is we always are thinking about the past, right? And other times we're so worried about the future. We're also not here, right? Right here. We don't come here, live here. So I'd like to start this by bringing us here and the viewers and listeners here right now in the presence. So what do you do to bring yourself to here and now?
I do a lot of deep belly breathing. I would say that's the biggest thing because I carry a lot of my stress in my midsection. So as soon as I feel that tightening, taking that deep breath, planting my feet flat on the ground, really helps me to calm and focus for whatever it is that I'm doing.
Can you share with us one that's your favorite?
Well, I really like the deep belly breathing. So I usually put one hand on my belly, one hand on my heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually breathe in through my nose for, we'll say 4 counts, and then hold it for 4, and then release it always longer than what you breathed in for. So releasing for 6 counts. So in for 4, hold for 4, and release for 6.
Perfect. Let's do 2 more. It feels good.
Yeah.
Hold for 4, right?
Yeah. And release. And breathe in. Hold. And release.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That feels good, doesn't it? Shoulders
It
dropped,
does.
less tension in the neck.
Oh, I carry a lot of tension in my shoulders.
Not just you, all of us too, because we're working like this, we're holding it like this. Sometimes we sleep like this, right? So
Yeah.
just these breathing, just bringing ourselves now and here helps us to just relax. So thank you. That is good. And I think we all do that, not just yourself. So when you think of the phrase blocks to flow, what moment in your life comes to your mind first?
I don't know if it's a specific moment, but for me, my blocks have always come from being too much in my head and listening to sort of those negative narrative things that we tell ourselves, like, you need to be better, I'm not good enough yet, comparing myself to other people. And I think I grew up in the world of ballet where you always compared yourself to everyone else. Your feedback was always criticism. So, and also body image and things like that were huge. So that just became a part of who I was. And really, it was always in the background with every decision I made, whether I took a risk or not, depended on what I was telling myself in my head.
And these were things you didn't create. These were things you got. They shared it with you, right? As a child, when you were going to ballet classes, you received them as criticism.
Yeah, I got them from everywhere. I mean, I had parents who had very high expectations of me. I, was in a highly critical environment with dance. And I was also hard on myself and just, a perfectionist. Bad combination.
Mm-hmm. So when did you really identify that this is what I'm dealing with?
I think I always knew it was there, but I never challenged it. until I was going through the coaching certification with you. I learned that I could change that narrative, that I could challenge it. And, part of it, and I'm not saying that I don't have those voices in my head, but I'm aware of them now and I'm trying to change them.
Mm.
So, sometimes it means pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and sort of embracing that fear of not being perfect. But it's been really worthwhile, and it's life-changing when you start to realize that you're in control
Mm.
and that you don't need to repeat the same patterns.
So you're now recognizing these patterns that you have
Yeah.
been conditioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
The sport that you took on and then the expectations that were implemented. Now you're a very successful person. You were a principal, right? You
Yeah.
were. Now you're retired, right? So, going through all of that, carrying this must have been hard because you were a leader.
I was. I tried to always lead with compassion,
Mm.
and I definitely was in education because I value what educators provide for children, and I love working with children. I realize now that being an administrator, which I was for the last 10 years of my career, didn't fit sort of who I was at the soul level and why I was in education. It became much more of a managerial position, and not as much the opportunity to really interact and, inspire kids, which is why I had got into it. So I sort of realized that it's sort of hard to explain. It became more of a job instead of a passion.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
so it didn't really fit with who I was.
More robotic, more just going in and out. And even though this passion is there, but the passion started, you're not able to fulfill it at the
Yeah.
workplace, right?
Yeah.
Passion's there, but it's not being fulfilled. It's just another job then, right?
Mhm.
And it's not, because you know that we transform other people's life. That's why we go into this profession, right?
Yeah. For
Can
sure.
It cannot be a job for any teacher, any administrator. It's not a job, right? It's
Yeah.
more than that. And that's what we go in with. But then the environment and how it's structured eventually beat us up to
Yeah.
that. So yeah, I understand. I totally get it. So now you're a certified holistic neurogrowth success coach with the blockchain
Okay.
method. So looking from now outside, looking back into the classroom, what do you think is missing? Like, what is the missing link? Why are we struggling right now?
I think we're struggling with human connection. And I think the classrooms are getting busier and busier.
Mm.
We're seeing a lot more trauma in children. We experienced a global trauma with COVID that I think changed the way teachers themselves are able to handle things in the classroom.
Mm.
And they're tired because there's a lot of pressure being put on teachers. So they don't necessarily have the patience to really take the time to be curious and find out why the behaviors are happening, why kids are struggling. And I think parents, to some extent, are feeling the same way. There's a lot of pressures on families. And, we're in a digital age where connection is not as deep as it used to be. The quality time that families spend together, the quality time that kids spend with their friends isn't happening. So I think that's a big thing. It's also a pretty sedentary society that we live in. Parents are very anxious about wanting to protect their kids from everything, and schools, don't want to run the risk of somebody getting hurt. So that active outdoor play and things like that aren't happening as much. So the connection and that physical interaction with one another, I think, are are two things that are missing. I think if we had the time to really connect with kids on an individual level and get to know what's going on with them, I think we could make so much more of a difference. And that's what we do as coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, we're so connected that we're so disconnected these days, right? We think we're
Mhm.
connected because I can reach anybody around the world right now, right? Right, sitting right here. So
Yeah.
that does give us that illusion of I'm connected.
Yeah.
I'm really connected. I can talk to anyone and everyone. I can even see them online, right? But unfortunately, that kind of connection is not what our body crave for, right? It's more physically being in present, playing, and running around for kids is so important. I think that's just missing. Yeah. So now that you're a coach, looking at blocks to flow, if somebody's listening, how does it actually help them? Like, when I'm blocked, does, like, a lot of the time I don't even know I'm blocked.
And I think that's the thing, is that we haven't been, and I'm including myself in this, we weren't taught sort of what is going on inside of us and how we can be in control of that.
Mm.
So the blocks to flow that we're having, and they're different for everybody, are things that we can control, but we need to become aware of those first. And then we need to, know how we can control that, how we can regulate our nervous system. And it takes a lot of practice, but it also takes, a lot of trial and error to find what works for each individual. I know when I was in the school system, I was very big on mental health and well-being, but it was really a generic mental health and well-being program. We would post breathing strategies. We would have a calming corner in the classrooms. We would run, activities to sort of build connection with kids, but it wasn't on an individual level, and it wasn't necessarily what each person needed.
Yeah.
So with the coaching, we're really able to, the strategies come later. It's really learning about your system first, learning about what are the things that are stopping you from being successful, or, from learning, from thriving at school. So we just expect as educators that you're ready to go when you come into school. You're ready to learn. And there's so much more work that needs to be done. And I think it's really important. I mean, I'm 53 years old now, and it's taken me this long to realize that I'm the one that's in control, and that I can change the stories that I'm telling myself. And I can change the way my body reacts to stress. I can calm that in order for me to move forward and to thrive. And I don't want kids waiting that long.
No.
I think we're just in a perfect spot to really change the way the generations to come are going to learn this first.
Yeah.
And not have to wait till they're in their 50s to figure it all out.
No, and as you said, we have all of these. We know all of these things, right? It's not about knowing that I have to breathe. I have to, calm myself down. It's not about that. Those are, like you've already said, it's strategies and tips and tricks. We have so many of them, but you cannot apply to a system that's blocked and that's not aware of the blocks.
Yeah.
And we're a living system. So if I don't even know why I'm breathing, I'm not going to be able to place that. I can't connect to it authentically. I'm just doing it because somebody's telling me I should breathe.
Yeah. And there are so many ways to breathe. And, just telling a child to breathe isn't going to even have an impact on them. Because if they're going, I'm breathing, it's not calming their system at all.
No. And also, if they don't know why, it's an order then, right? It's like you're asking them to do something that at that time they don't know the why behind it.
Yeah.
So it's not being effectively done. So that's why applying any of these on a blocked system, we are made out of all these subsystems, and then we're functioning as a whole person, as a soul. A soul need to understand where the blocks are before even they can apply any of this. And then we need to customize it because every soul is different.
Yeah.
Whatever works for me, it's going to work for Caitlin or anyone else is watching, right? Because we're all different. Thank you for sharing that. So, this connection, right? it also comes through blocks to flow, because when we connect with our body, we talked about connection earlier, not just connecting with each other, but we need to come back and connect with ourselves.
Yeah.
Would you say that has been something that you've been able to do in the past months, connecting to you authentically, right?
Absolutely. Just identifying where I hold my tension, where I hold my stress. I've always known that I carry a lot of it in my midsection. And now the instant that I feel that, I start sort of analyzing it and questioning, why am I feeling that? What is triggering that response in my system? And then being able to center myself and ground myself, I'm usually able to figure out why that's happening and process that in a different way. Whereas before, I think that would get the best of me.
Mm.
And, I've suffered from migraines for most of my life and irritable bowel because I just accepted that tension and live with that tension instead of actually processing it and dealing with it. So it's very empowering to be able to do that and to be able to take control of your system when it's responding like that. And that's why it's giving us the signals.
Yes.
It's not just punishing us. It's saying, hey, pay attention to this.
So what was the hardest pattern or belief to unlearn as you go through this, moving through this?
Well, I would say I'm still talking to my brain a lot because I've got some pretty entrenched ways of talking to myself and talking myself out of things or letting fear take over. I've been doing a lot of work on getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and being in that discomfort. I hear a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome, and I think I've suffered with it. I always felt less than what I was supposed to be and compared myself to others. But what I realize as I'm going through this process is that imposter syndrome comes from fear and comes from discomfort. But you can't grow without being uncomfortable and without overcoming that fear. So I see it as a good thing now when I'm feeling uncomfortable or I'm feeling fear because I know that I'm growing. I know that I'm moving along in my journey, and that reframes it in my mind. And when I catch myself, and I shared with you earlier last night, I was sort of looking at the questions for this morning and I didn't have the perfect answers. I kept writing and rewriting. And then I messaged you and said, I don't think I'm ready to do this because it was my fear of not being perfect, not being everything I should be. And I ran from it. And I was really thankful that you said, no, come on, I'm going to get you relaxed. It's just going to be a conversation. And I just focused this morning on grounding myself and being ready for this conversation. I didn't prepare. And that took a lot for me. So I'm an over preparer. And that stops me from moving forward a lot. So
yeah, we also did an amazing job when we met in person, right? When we did the parenting in flow work.
yeah,
you did amazing, and
I
that's
know.
also
And I was so worried, because I didn't have it memorized. But then when you get up there and if you just sort of get past that fear and just let that flow happen, it's really, it changes the way it can be.
Yep.
Which is pretty beautiful.
Yeah, and I want you to know that that's flow, right? That's flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
We need flow, and that's what our mission is, to make sure that all humans can feel that, because that's our birthright. It's available to us, and then we block ourselves, and then we tell ourselves all these stories, and then we stay stuck. Right? But it's possible, right? I mean, it is a hard work. I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
But if you start doing it, it actually becomes easier every day because you're seeing the result of it, right? It's immediate. It's like a really good loop, right? Today you're going to feel amazing.
And it gets easier each time.
Yeah. you're going to feel amazing today after this, right? Because you did it.
Yeah.
You did it. So, yeah. So anyone who's watching, that's Blocks to Flow is an amazing way to look at our systems that are trying to tell us things. Those are signals instead of just trapping them, listening to them and really paying attention to that and bringing that awareness and then creating the alignment and activation so that you can accelerate, because our systems are designed for performance, right? We're only looking at it. If I perform, I'm doing really great. I can't perform, something must be wrong with me, right?
Yeah.
And we really need to get out of that phrase. And that came from of course, our conditioning from our parents, then the conditioning that happens at school, then we exit as young adults into the real world, and then there we get beat up.
Yeah.
And then we really question ourselves, am I even good enough? Am I worthy enough? Do I know enough here to live even? And then that just becomes that's the story we tell ourselves every day. And personal development, right? We then land into personal development. There, they tell us more tactics and tips and strategies, which doesn't fit me. Then I'm again lost in a world of, try this, do this. Like I'm trying to, if anyone weight loss, they know every year, New Year resolution, somebody tells you, do this, do that, do this, do that. And you keep doing
Everyone thinks they have the solution.
but the solution's not for me though.
Yeah.
What's my solution, right? And that was my thing with weight loss too. Until I figured out that my problem was my hormones, the weight loss was just a mystery because it doesn't make sense to me. Everyone like eat less. I eat less. I can't eat any less.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of everything just comes down to how does this soul want to express and how are we suppressing it, right? How am I suppressing myself so that I can just survive? So we have to exit that survival, whatever we're doing. It be we're working with kids or whatever work you're doing, look at yourself, become aware. Where am I not paying attention? And then start paying attention and you're going to see a lot of evidence. And those evidence are what we tried to clear. So it's amazing. So if your younger self could witness you are today, what would they think or notice first?
I mean, it depends on which younger self you're talking about. Because I've actually been spending a lot of time on sort of that young, joyful child within me who was fearless. And I think they would be proud of the work that I'm doing on myself and that I'm finally coming back into who I was meant to be. Because I think for a lot of years, I lost that. I lost my authentic self because I've been a people pleaser and I've changed myself to be what other people expected me to be or wanted me to be. So if I'm talking to my younger self when I was struggling, I think they'd be amazed at how far I've come and how I'm actually stronger and more confident and more joyful than I've been in a very long time. And I feel like that little girl in me would be very proud too. So getting a little emotional, but
that's awesome. Yes. Yes. Because as I said, we suppress so many things, right? So when we finally are able to release and start seeing and thriving in our life, of course, our younger self is going to be like, oh my goodness, look at her.
Yeah. I actually did a meditation the other day where I met my younger self and she just ran up to me and gave me a big hug. And then we started dancing together because that was my joy when I was little. And I want to feel that joy again. One thing that I have learned recently that I've been doing is that I'm scheduling joy into my day. So I'm making sure that every day I have that, time that is just for me, which I've never done before. I've always taken care of everybody else. And I'm finally learning how to take care of myself, which is amazing.
So for our listeners, if they could take one simple action today to get closer to alignment and into flow, what would it be?
I would say find your joy. Find those things that bring you joy in life, whether that's spending time with your kids or cuddling with your dog on the couch or dancing or walking in nature. We really need to cherish those things and schedule those things into our busy lives, because it's so easy to get caught up in the busyness of everything that you forget to take care of yourself and nurture your soul. So that's, I think, what I would want most for people.
Yeah. I love how you said schedule joy in yours, like schedule it.
Yeah, everybody knows how to schedule everything else. So we've got to schedule that in there too.
Yeah, joy with myself. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And we can always say I'm busy, 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 right? That just becomes a part of our vocabulary. But within that busyness, where can I find 5 minutes for me to feel joy?
Mm-hmm.
So that goes back to you're saying your younger self, to really go deep and say, what did I enjoy when I was young?
Yeah. It took me a while, because when I first retired, I'm like, I've got to find my joy.
Yes.
And I didn't even know where to start to
Yes.
find that, because, I think for a long time, I felt like my joy was in caring for others, taking care of everybody else. But that's just more of the same. I always looked at taking care of yourself as more selfish.
Yes.
Looked at it in a more negative way, because I was conditioned to take care of everybody else. So it was really important for me to really find ways to take care of myself and put myself first, and know that that was necessary in order for everything else to happen.
Yes. And that is a work you've done, because that's also a block, right? Many of us have, thinking that if I start thinking about myself, it's very selfish. Why are you always thinking about it? But if I don't think about myself, who else would, right? But who else is going to think about it? It doesn't mean you don't have to take care of other people. Take care of them too. But I mean, in the 24 hours, I'm sure every one of us can take 5 minutes to find joy.
Yeah.
Right.
And I can actually take care of the people that I love in my life far better now that I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the result of it, right? The byproduct is you're actually a better person for other people.
Yeah.
So we can't steal from ourselves and say that I'm going to be the best person for others. It shows. It's gonna, as they say, right? You'll become empty, and that's empty from an empty cup.
Yeah.
They'll notice.
And it happened to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just going through the motions, and I realized now, looking back, that I was burnt out for at least 3 years, and I was trying to be everything for everyone, and I wasn't doing any of it well, because I was too tired and I wasn't refilling my own cup.
Yes.
It was just all going out, and it's so much easier now to be who I want to be.
Yeah. And respect that, right? So how can people connect with Caitlin, Coach Caitlin? I'm going to have all her information under this video show notes. So please do connect with her. Here's the beautiful thing about it. Doesn't matter. Our program works for 5-year-old to all the way to 70, 80-year-old. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Along the way, we all get blocked. We are all the product of the same system we went through, the school system, right? So in there, we get blocked. We are conditioned by our parents, our society. So no matter where you are in your life, if you are feeling like I can't do this anymore, I'm not worthy enough, I'm not enough to do this, it's because there's a block. And if you're able to find it, get the help from Caitlin. She's an amazing coach. You know why she's an amazing coach? Because she has been through it. That's the beautiful. When you go through something, you can then lead and help others so beautifully.
Yeah.
Because you know the feeling, right? You know exactly.
I do.
To talk yourself out of things. Tell yourself that you're not going to be good enough for this, and make yourself on a scale that mark yourself, right? Or mark yourself on a scale where you put it so high that, it's impossible to even reach there. And then you push yourself so hard and then feel like you failed yourself. Like all of these things, these are cycles we all live through, right? So Caitlin has that experience. She's been a leader in the school system. So, contact with her, and her informations are going to be on below the video here. So, Caitlin, finish this sentence for me. Flow is, what's coming up for you?
Flow is being who you're meant to be and thriving.
Beautiful.
But it's that state of being where anything is possible.
Yeah, there's no block.
Yeah.
It flows. It's easy. It's effortless. It just feels good. It just feels joy, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Pure joy. Anything else you want to add? Flow is
Amazing. Yeah, it's energizing. It's a connection to a power that we don't often connect to without it. I really do feel like there is an energy that connects us all.
Yeah.
And when you're in flow, and especially when you're in flow with other people who are also in flow, the magic happens at that time. That's when true connection happens, when understanding and dialogue and learning and growth, they all happen in that state of flow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we need more of, especially today.
Yeah, authentic connection. And it's like flow is a current, right? It's a current.
Yeah.
And when everyone is in that, you can feel it. That's what you're saying. It's felt because it's like a current. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Those of you who are watching, who are carrying so many things, talking to their brain or mind about, this is who I am. I can't do this. I'm not capable. Just become aware of it. Just be clear of, where did it start? Why am I keep saying that? Even just that simple act of bringing yourself now and here and becoming aware, it's a game changer. Just right there is a game changer. Just that moment when you do that, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Caitlin.
Thank you, Kohila.
You've been listening to Blocks to Flow, where learning, living, and leading return to alignment. Keep reconnecting. Keep restoring. Keep rewiring your way back to rhythm. Discover more at holisticsuccesscoach.com and join the movement reshaping how we learn, live, and lead. Until next time, flow forward.